And welcome back to the Town Hall. We're talking tonight about a new approach to what may be professional football's biggest problem, dealing with injuries. That's both in the short term, dealing with pain, and in the long term, in the impacts that we've seen from repeated head trauma. There are signs now that the National Football League may be turning to parts of the marijuana plant as a possible solution. The NFL announced today that it's going to award a $1 million award to two medical research teams for their proposal to study the effects of cannabinoids when it comes to pain management and protecting players from concussions. Those two teams, one from the University of California, San Diego, and one from the University of Regina in Saskatchewan, will be looking into that area that there really hasn't been a whole lot of research in to this point. The idea of replacing potentially addictive opioids with marijuana shouldn't surprise you. That's been one of the major pitches for medical cannabis here in New York and elsewhere. But what about the possibility of preventing concussions? Lead researcher Dr. Patrick Neary from the University of Regina says that they're really interested in how that may work.
More research to show that the component cannabidiol, CBD, is anti-inflammatory. And anytime that you get a concussion knocked to the head, and you don't have to be knocked out, when you get a concussion, there are chemical changes that are happening in the brain. And one of those chemical changes is an inflammatory response. The good chemicals are coming into the brain to try and help repair it very, very quickly. But often what happens is that there's an overexcitation of the chemicals, the good chemicals coming into the brain, and it creates an inflammation in the brain. So this, in fact, could actually reduce the recovery time.
So they'll be testing that theory on actual collegiate Canadian football players as early as this fall and try to figure out the best formula to do that. Of course, the big challenge here is that these treatments are still banned in the NFL. Dr. Neary hopes that this may change that.
What we're hoping to do is to be able to actually illustrate and to show that the components within cannabis, all right, could be very, very beneficial if used on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not saying that any of your listeners go out and start smoking pot if they're football players or hockey players or basketball or boxing, whatever. However, the specific components within the marijuana plant, the cannabis plant, the hemp plant could be very, very beneficial.
The research is expected to take about 3 years, so don't expect any results overnight. But Dr. Neary says it could lead to changes outside of professional sports as well, including treatments for younger athletes, even ones genetically tailored for anybody to use.